children, as they grow, are the future of our country.
And of our church.
And of our church, but they also, it's so important to have that Christian education and upbringing, and to follow that through, especially during the somewhat traumatic, challenging teenage years, and to encourage them that attending church and being part of the church community and being a Christian is a way of life, and it's a way of life that should go on through your childhood and on into adulthood. And our youth program is so vital here at this church and so important to that continuation of the church membership. And I'll never forget hearing Mark DeVries say, you need a lot of people in your bleachers.
I joined the church after I married Justin, and we moved here to Nashville, visited around churches, and I guess relationship is the word I think of when I think of this church. Of course, my relationship with God has grown through this church, but it's the relationships with everyone else here. I think of the older couples in our Sunday school class and how much I've learned from them. I think of the people with whom we've raised our children. We've taught their children in Sunday school. They've been mentors to our children. Those relationships really have been so important to us.
That's a great question, and one I'm really happy to answer. To me, when a minister, as ours do, walk down with the aisle between the sets of pews at our church with a baby at baptism, and they announce to the congregation that this is not just his family's child or her family's child, it's ours. It's our responsibility to raise a baby or raise a son or daughter in the life of the church. I take that very seriously. I don't think, and I teach and I coach, I'm a father, I don't think, short of holy vows with your wife or with your church, there's a greater calling anybody can have.
I guess, for Dad it was the youth group. For us it was certainly the kids. Growing up here in the church and having a good base for Will to, a loving family to grow up with and to grow up in, and as well as for our little ones, was a big reason we came here.
I think what has been important to my family is the way the church has been able to walk alongside our family as we went through different stages of life. For my favorite memories are the church swimming pool, because it served back then as a neighborhood gathering point for the young teens. And that was back when you could ride your bike all over the neighborhood, and you could go in someone's back door and have lunch.
Even had horses here too.
Yes.
The sermon, the music ministers to you. I love that our church provides free concerts for the whole community and supports the symphony. And
to teach the gospel. Don't get involved in the local politics, world politics, social issues. Just teach the gospel. And as a result, we are one of the growingest churches in the whole denomination. Where the total is declining, we are increasing because we try to stay over and above those conflicts, those issues, but just stay into the gospel.
When we were kids, when you enter the youth group and you're confirmed, that day, that afternoon was Cred Day. And so that was just like the coolest, most exciting thing, especially when you're a graduating sixth grader and you've just been confirmed, and so you're finally getting to join the high schoolers, and you've been seeing like all about Cred Day, and all these teenagers are so cool and they get covered in mud, and you've just been thinking for years you want to be a part of this. And so my dad was on the Cred Day planning committee, and so he did a lot to lead it that I didn't know about behind the scenes. But as a 12-year-old, I just remember knowing that he had worked for days and days to get the mud just right, and that he borrowed the hoses from the fire department, and he and my mom had come out to the lawns and they've been watering the mud pit. And so on Cred Day, I just remember it was like that was the most proud I could have been of you was that you had created the whole lesson that we were all enjoying.
Episcopalian. But anyway, then not very long after that, actually the next year, 1950, we had our first daughter, first child of our 4 children. Our oldest, Million Green Thompson Orman, was baptized here in the recreation room of the Cheek House in 1950. And Dr. Courtney was the minister, and he said that day to the family that had gathered, he said, "This is the first baby to be baptized at Oak Hill."
Wow.
The church had just acquired the property, but they had not, of course, the chapel then was not Stanford Memorial Chapel, it was just the recreation room. So that was pretty momentous. And then,
And I can remember having Easter service out here on the lawn in front of Cheek House.
And the
Or in back of
church,
Cheese
the
House.
church itself was in the chapel. I mean.
That's right. I mean, that's the.
That was the only, sanctuary at the time, and,
Well, I mean, it's, all of that was the sports fields.
yeah.
Yeah, but it was pretty looking out, and I can remember Dr. Courtney giving the Easter sermon. Again, we were kids at the time we moved over, and the first Sunday school classes that I remember, and Allison remembers as well, were in these makeshift school buses that didn't have any wheels on them, and they would set up down here by the Boy Scout thing, lined up, and there would be one Sunday school class in one, and on and on. Well, Allison remembers better than I do that in the wintertime, of course, these buses didn't have any heat.
Oh, chilly.
And so everybody was in there just like that. And of course, there wasn't much lesson taught, or at least they tried to teach it, but the kids were trying to survive and having fun on, in a bus
Being in a
environment
school
like
bus,
that.
yeah.
Working alongside people of all different ages, working with children and helping my mom in the church nursery. And Noreen Yell, I had so much fun with her one summer in Vacation Bible School. And then I loved having advice from people of all different ages, like Betsy Krebs in the hallway, and teaching Sunday school with her, and eventually meeting Frank here. And all the mission trips with Mark DeVries, it's just been so special.